Hi everyone. It's a super hot day here today, and it got me thinking about somebody who lived somewhere very hot in the Bible. He was a very unusual character, but a really important one too, because he had a message from God that he wanted to share with the world. Now, this person was a prophet. He ate something unusual and wore unusual clothes too. I wonder if you can work out who our story is going to be about. Now here is the man. Can you see what he's wearing? He wore a tunic made out of camel hair, itch, itch, scratch, scratch, tied at the waist with a leather strap. His hair was shaggy, his beard was long. He ate locusts, crunch, crunch, munch, and wildflower honey. And even where he lived was strange, in the hot, dry, dusty desert of Judea. This man's name was John, and he had a message from God. Hundreds of years before, Isaiah had spoken about John coming, so people knew who he was. Thunder in the desert. Prepare for God's arrival. Make the road smooth and straight. So that's what John was planning to do. His message for the people was as simple and stark as his desert surroundings. You need to change your life because God's kingdom is here. People poured out of Jerusalem, Judea, and the Jordanian countryside to hear and see John in action. And there, at the River Jordan, those who came to say sorry for the things they'd done were baptized in the river into a new, changed life. Soon, Jesus would come too to be baptized by John. We'll hear more about that later. Today, we're going to do some yummy baking. John lived off locusts and honey, so we're going to make some honey scones in the shape of locusts to help us remember about John the Baptist. You're going to need some self-raising flour, a little bit of salt, some butter or margarine, some honey, and some milk. You can use plant-based milk like we have, or you can use normal milk. First, pour in 280 grams of self-raising flour. Now add in a pinch of salt. A little shake will do. Then we can mix that together. Measure 120 grams of butter. After you've got it in your bowl, you want to chop it up into small pieces, ready to go in with the flour. Using your fingertips, lift up the butter and the flour and rub it together in between your fingers. Carry on doing this until your mixture looks a little bit like breadcrumbs. It should look something like this when you're done. Next, you need about 200 millilitres of milk. We're using almond milk, but you can use normal cow's milk if you prefer. Next, add your honey to the measuring jug. You want just over 100 millilitres of honey, so you're looking for your milk rising up to about 300. When you give it a good mix, you'll see that the honey has gone down to the bottom because the honey is heavier than the milk. And when you've mixed it together, you're going to pour it into your mixing bowl where you've got your flour and your butter all combined together. Okay, we're ready to pour. Stir your ingredients together with a wooden spoon until the mixture starts to come together into a ball shape. If your mixture is a bit sticky, you can always add a little bit more flour for it to come together properly. And then we're going to tip it out onto a floured work surface. You don't want to work your dough too much with a scone recipe, so we're not going to be rolling it out. We're going to be just cutting out the amount we want. And I've put some baking paper on a baking sheet so I can put our honey locusts straight onto that. Cut a section of your dough off and move it to one side. You can see that the dough is really sticky. When you've got that piece, you're going to roll it gently with your fingers to make it into a sausage shape. And when you're happy with your sausage shape, you're going to put it on the baking paper. You're going to need 2 smaller bits of dough to make the back legs of the locust. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to make it into a sausage shape and then get another section and make it into a sausage shape. And then we'll be folding it to make the legs in a minute. Here are our 2 sausage shapes for the legs. Now, we're going to want to attach them onto our body. So you take one of the sausage legs and lift it in the middle to make a bent triangle shape, which is just like the back leg of a locust. And when you've done that, you can very carefully press it up against your locust body, trying to keep the shape as best you can. Do that for the next leg as well. We've got a swarm of locusts on our baking sheet at the moment, but to make them look a little bit more like locusts, we're going to use raisins to put some eyes on the front. So we've got 2 raisin eyes on the front of our locust and our big bent back legs at the back of our locust. Now we're going to put them in the oven at 200 degrees centigrade for 8 to 12 minutes.
Your locusts will be ready when they're golden brown on the outside. Leave them to cool on a cooling rack for 10 minutes or so. You can eat them just as they are, or you might like to spread some jam on the inside too. I hope you enjoy them.